Caitlin Clark is heading into Game 3 of the WNBA semifinals with a fire that's hard to contain. After the Indiana Fever's tough loss in Game 2 against the Las Vegas Aces, Clark isn't just frustrated, she's furious. This wasn't a game they lost because of talent, skill, or preparation. The story of Game 2 wasn't who played better, it was about who the officials let get away with what. 41 fouls were called in total, including 16 in just one quarter, and the Aces' physicality was relentless. Players were hitting the floor constantly, and Indiana struggled to establish any rhythm. Meanwhile, Lexi Hull took a beating, sustaining a back injury that makes her questionable for Game 3, yet she refused to fold. And yet, the headlines framed Aaliyah Wilson as the hero of the game. It's a moment that underscores a bigger issue in the WNBA, playoff credibility and fairness. Indiana now has a chance to respond, and the message going into Game 3 is clear. They won't be bullied. Fans are already rallying online, dropping comments like, "Let's go Fever," as anticipation builds. The team knows the stakes. Momentum, pride, and playoff survival are on the line. And if Game 2 was a wake-up call, Game 3 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse will be a test of grit, determination, and home court advantage. Clark's fury isn't just about a single game. It's about sending a message that the Fever are here to compete, and nobody, neither the Aces nor the referees, can take that away. Game 2 was chaotic from start to finish, and it wasn't because either team lacked skill. From the opening whistle, the Aces abandoned finesse and relied on brute force. Forearms, elbows, shoulders, every possession was a collision, yet the referees let it slide under the guise of playoff physicality. But let's be honest, 41 fouls called in a single game, including 16 in one quarter, isn't physicality, it's chaos. Indiana, a team built to run and play with rhythm, was forced into broken half-court sets, completely disrupting their flow. Each trip down the floor felt chopped to pieces, and every time Indiana tried to gain momentum, a foul call reset the clock. Lexi Hull and other players bore the brunt of this chaos. Hull, with a back injury lingering from Game 1, was targeted constantly. Every cut, every box out, every defensive rotation brought extra contact, yet she didn't quit. She kept pushing, hitting 5 3-pointers to tie a franchise playoff record. But her pain and perseverance went largely unnoticed by the headlines, which celebrated Aaliyah Wilson's 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 steals. What those stats didn't show was how many of her points came through collisions and referee calls that favored the Aces. Indiana's resilience was evident, but the game was anything but fair. It's the type of physicality that tests not only skill, but heart. And while Indiana absorbed the punishment, the league now faces questions about credibility and consistency. Lexi Hull was the embodiment of toughness in Game 2. Already carrying a back injury from Game 1, she shouldn't have been on the floor. Most players would have sat out, but Hull refused to give in. From the tip-off, she faced brutal targeting, pushed, shoved, and sent to the floor repeatedly. Yet with every fall, Hull returned to the perimeter and kept shooting. She tied the franchise playoff record with 5 3-pointers, proving that pain wouldn't dictate her performance. Her effort was about more than points. It was about sending a message. Every shot was defiance. Every cut through the lane was a statement. While the referees seemed blind to the excessive contact, Hull refused to be intimidated. She became the focal point of Indiana's resilience, forcing Las Vegas to acknowledge her presence despite their attempts to neutralize her. Her determination energized teammates and reminded fans what it means to play with heart. Hull's performance also highlighted the larger issue in the game, officiating inconsistency. While Wilson's fouls were often ignored, Hull was targeted relentlessly, yet she adapted, shifting her game, finding opportunities, and refusing to allow her body or the chaos around her to dictate the outcome. Hull's toughness was a beacon for Indiana, showing that even when the odds are stacked against them, through injury, physical play, and questionable calls, they will not fold. Kelsey Mitchell came into Game 2 on fire after exploding for 34 points in Game 1, but the Aces devised a strategy specifically to neutralize her. They applied suffocating defense, packing multiple bodies on her at all times, contesting every cut and disrupting every screen. The result? Mitchell was held to just 13 points. This wasn't a lack of skill, it was the product of calculated physical denial. Every shot Mitchell attempted came with bumps, elbows, and heavy resistance. Screens meant to free her were blown up by by collisions, and the quality of her looks deteriorated. Las Vegas forced Indiana into secondary options while using the whistles to their advantage, controlling momentum and frustrating the Fever's rhythm. The strategy worked on paper, but it came at the cost of raw physicality. Mitchell's frustration was palpable, but it didn't break her. She remained focused, searching for openings, and continued to fight for her team despite the suffocating defense. The containment of Mitchell also underscored the broader theme of Game 2. Indiana didn't lose because of poor execution. They were forced into survival mode by physicality and referee bias. The Aces leaned on every advantage, from fouls to double teams, showing that winning at home can sometimes rely as much on exploiting rules and chaos as on basketball skill. Aaliyah Boston's line of 10 points and 13 rebounds looks solid on paper, but it hides the brutal reality she faced. Every rebound, every post-up, and every drive became a war. Elbows, shoves, and collisions were constant, testing both her physical and mental limits. Yet Boston refused to yield. Every possession was a battle, and she fought through the physical punishment to contribute where Indiana needed her most. Her resilience became a quiet backbone for the team. While stats reflected a respectable performance, the real story was her ability to absorb punishment without breaking. Boston's composure under fire inspired teammates, showing that grit isn't always about flashy scoring. It's about presence, endurance, and refusing to surrender. The intensity of the game highlighted the stakes of playoff basketball. Physicality was rampant, fouls inconsistent, and momentum constantly interrupted. Boston's response wasn't just about numbers, it was about leadership by example. She demonstrated that Indiana could withstand chaos and still fight. Every contested rebound and every contested shot she completed reinforced a crucial message. Indiana was not going to crumble, no matter how violent the battle became. Odyssey Sims also embodied Indiana's resistance in Game 2. Scoring 18 points may seem standard, but every basket came under extreme duress. Sims navigated double teams, endured physical hacks, and constantly fought to create opportunities from broken possessions. Each time she found a rhythm, the whistle interrupted play, making every point a small rebellion. Sims's impact went beyond the scoreboard. Her drives, contested and chaotic, reminded fans that Indiana wouldn't submit to intimidation or referee bias. She provided sparks of hope in a game that threatened to overwhelm the Fever's composure. Sims's performance exemplified the team's strategy to adapt, absorb, and fight back against adversity, even when the environment seemed stacked against them. Her contribution was vital in showcasing the character of the Fever. Game 2 wasn't just a contest of points, it was a battle of will. Sims's ability to remain aggressive despite constant stoppages and physical challenges demonstrated that Indiana's players were not just surviving, they were learning, adjusting, and preparing to turn the series back in their favor. Game 2 highlighted a concerning reality. The Aces' win relied as much on chaos as on skill. They exploited referee bias, leaned on foul-heavy play, and disrupted Indiana's flow with constant physicality. Every advantage they could manufacture was magnified by inconsistent officiating. Players like Wilson benefited repeatedly, earning points from collisions that Indiana rarely saw. The reliance on fouls created a game of interruptions. Indiana's team, built for rhythm and flow, had to adjust to stop-start basketball. The chaos masked some of Indiana's strengths, but it also exposed the Aces' dependence on external factors rather than clean execution. While Las Vegas celebrated their adjustments, the reality was clear. Their success was contingent on referee support and aggressive, often illegal play. This reliance sets up a critical factor for Game 3. When the series moves to Indiana's home court, the advantage shifts. The Fever can use both skill and environment to counteract chaos. Las Vegas may be forced to compete on equal footing, where physicality is less tolerated and referee bias is harder to sustain. Game 2, therefore, was not proof of Aces' dominance. It was a warning shot about the series' volatility and the importance of home court advantage. Returning to Gainbridge Fieldhouse transforms the series. Indiana will have 17,000 fans, creating a hostile environment for both the Aces and the officials. Every foul, shove, or missed call will be magnified by the crowd, forcing accountability that wasn't present in Las Vegas. Home court isn't just about familiarity, it's about amplifying energy, pressure, and momentum. The Fever can now channel the injustice of Game 2 into fuel. Lexi Hull's grit, Boston's rebounding dominance, and Mitchell's scoring ability physicality all become more potent with the crowd behind them. The noise will disrupt the Aces' attempts to control pace or exploit fouls, turning what was a disadvantage in Game 2 into a weapon in Game 3. Gainbridge Fieldhouse becomes an amplifier, making every play feel larger and every call under scrutiny. Home court advantage also shifts psychological pressure. Las Vegas, who relied on chaos and inconsistent officiating in Game 2, will now face a crowd that won't let them dominate silently. Indiana's players can feed off this energy, converting frustration from the previous game into confidence, aggression, and scoring firepower. The stage is set for a pivotal series swing. Indiana's team emerged from Game 2 with valuable lessons. Despite the foul-heavy chaos, the Fever learned to adapt. Hull proved toughness can defy targeting. Boston showed that endurance in the trenches matters. Mitchell, silenced by physical defense, will be hungry to respond. Sims demonstrated that breaking rhythm doesn't mean breaking will. This resilience, combined with strategic adjustments, puts Indiana in a strong position. They now understand how the Aces exploit chaos, and they are ready to flip it. By controlling tempo, leveraging home energy, and focusing on execution over intimidation, Indiana can reclaim authority in Game 3. It's about turning adversity into advantage, chaos into fuel, and frustration into aggression. The Fever's strategy isn't just about scoring, it's about asserting dominance where it counts, on their home floor, in front of their fans, and in a game where physicality can be managed more effectively. The previous lessons make this team stronger, more disciplined, and more motivated to prove that Game 2's loss was not reflective of their capabilities or determination. Game 3 is more than just another playoff matchup. It's a turning point. Indiana walks into Gainbridge Fieldhouse with everything to gain and nothing to lose. The crowd will amplify every possession, and the Fever will channel frustration from Game 2 into performance. Hull, Boston, Mitchell, and Sims are all poised to lead, with Clark rallying from the sidelines. Las Vegas now faces pressure they didn't have in Game 2. The referee bias and chaotic advantage they leveraged in Vegas will be harder to maintain. Indiana's energy, home crowd, and learned adjustments create the perfect environment for a statement game. This isn't about surviving, it's about putting the Aces on the ropes. Game 3 will test courage, execution, and adaptability, and the Fever are ready. If Indiana executes, uses momentum, and leverages home energy, they can reclaim control of the series. This is where character, grit, and strategy intersect. The stage is set for a hostile takeover, and Gainbridge Fieldhouse will be the epicenter. Fans are ready, players are motivated, and the Fever aren't just coming home, they're coming to win.